Welcome back, one and all. I hope you're ready for all of the action the NA region has to offer. We're diving into the winners match. And this might as well be the grand finals match of this very region because M80 will face off against the Stage 1 champion, Toronto Defiant. As I said right before we headed into a break, they looked untouchable. However, this one might be the real contender, and they know it. Toronto Defiant, though, of course, so much star power in one roster. It's kind of disgusting.
It is kind of disgusting. It is pretty disgusting. And they're so versatile as well, to the point where you're like, you almost get worried, like, oh, are they gonna like counter somehow? Like, what are they gonna, someone's gonna bring out some funny hero to play against us? That being said, though, these guys have been scrimming for a long time now. When you only have 2 or 3 really good teams in the region, your best practice actually comes scrimming against your nemesis, right? So Toronto Defiant, M80, these 2 teams know themselves really well and is going to deliver.
That's right. We're also delivering something here, and that is birthday wishes, because RuPaul's mom, Nazarene, is celebrating her birthday. Let's see if RuPaul is going to gift her the victory.
Sure hope so.
I mean, they've got...
You can't lose on your mom's birthday.
Exactly. It's all stacked in their favor here. I mean, in seriousness, of course they're the favorite, but this is a retooled, resurgent M80 that's going to be coming in with confidence. Although, I mean, someone I think is the best tank in the world right now. I feel that his flexibility is perfect for Overwatch 2.
Yep.
Toronto is always leveraging it, always putting themselves in the advantage. The rest of the team can handle any heroes they need to. Vega, I think probably the best, fair to say the best main support in NA right now. But M80, you've got Pelican and Happy, and not just on low ping. These are world-class DPS players. This is like a top-of-the-line DPS roster. You can't really get much better than these guys. So huge eyes on Pelly and Happy to have a huge performance today. And Hawk, I mean, I think there's no better tank in the West to challenge someone on flexibility. Hawk's been grinding the main takes, getting them up to par. And so I'm really excited to see the counter swapping in the series. I think we're going to be treated to a taste of how the meta might look in Dallas when both teams are highly flexible. They can handle any strategy. Like, a lot of the teams who are pretty strong in NA and EMEA are very limited to certain styles. And I don't really see that being true for either M80 or Toronto Defiant. I think they're both very flexible, and I think they're both going to continuously counterpick throughout the series, trying to constantly find any kind of edge on their competition.
I'm just wondering, looking at those 2 rosters, like, who will be the one, forcing the tempo? Who will be the ones who force the other team to swap off of their comforts?
So when it comes to the swaps, I actually agree with Jake that it's going to be someone. And this is actually, when we think about someone's big picture career, someone has had the most success as a tank player when he's actually abused the opposing tank's hero pool. That's how Florida Mayhem, they won the Overwatch League in the playoffs last year by just being so proficient at so many different compositions that they always had an answer. Doesn't matter. Someone can play the Winston, can play the Sigma, can play the Reinhardt. And so you can play so many different styles that you almost put your opponent on the back foot. And I could see something similar here. Okay, fair enough. Hawk, you're pretty versatile. Maybe we want you to play Winston. Maybe we'll force you almost into a situation where you have to play Winston because we're playing some other composition. So this is a roster that is so good at forcing their opponent's tempo and style. I really only think that Pelican is the one on M80 who has a say in things. Pelican is the one who will set the tempo on the Tracer, and Tracer, as we know, historically in Overwatch, such an important hero for determining the outcome.
Yeah.
But I can't help it. I think Toronto Defiant, they won't be surprised by anything being thrown their way. Those are such veteran players of the sport. Like, there's nothing they can't deal with. And I think so far they've shown it. Teams have tried to bust out different things. Didn't work for them. I'm going Toronto with a very convincing 3-1 victory here.
Yeah, I think Toronto's the favorite in this match, but I do think M80 has roads in. I think you're right. It starts with Pelican. The Tracer is going to be huge. I think Happy also has to come in here and at least match Merit. I mean, Merit has really been undisputed best in NA in Stage 1, but he wasn't playing against Happy in Stage 1. And I think there's really no one else in the North American region that I think has any hope in that hit-scan duel other than Happy. So for me, the DPS duel is going to be crucial. And the support line for M80, though, is where I'm a little worried. I think they could struggle, frankly, how good someone is with his dives. Liar is going to have to be very on point today because the pressure is going to be something he hasn't experienced before, except against probably this team.
Yeah. I decided to spice things up a little, though, and I went with M80. Please, Pelican. I'm betting on Happy and Pelican popping off. they can actually bring it to Merit and Sugar Free. I truly believe that if Happy and Pelican, they play their absolute A game, they are the better damage duo versus Merit and Sugar Free. I really believe that. So Pelican, come out on the Tracer and deliver victory for me.
I mean, you've just been like happy pilled as well. Like you just want like inhaling all those Widow.
Oh, you not?
I'm permanently happy pilled.
Right?
Look, Merit's good. I'll give him that.
Merit is also a monster.
But
it's not a super out there pick. I think Toronto Defiant, as we said, they were acknowledging that the only team which can bring it to them would be M80. But will it be enough? We'll find out in just a little bit. And for all the action, I'm going to send it over to Matt and Mr. X.
Just you, actually. Yeah.
Oh, actually.
I mean, it is always just me, right? I mean, thank you, Zoe. It is me here with myself. No, I'll move over a little bit so I have some legs. I would just be move over a little bit right there. Yep. Yeah, so this is going to be a pretty awesome series. This is actually probably the tallest I've ever been, just in this type of position here. But this is going to be a crazy series. Toronto versus M80. Like they were mentioning on the desk, M80 looks to be the team here in North America that would challenge Toronto. It's just, what does that look like, right? We thought we would see it a little bit earlier in the year, that kind of challenge come to pass, but not really. Toronto just kind of rolls through everybody. This is, I guess, the first real test now for the Defiant.
I think we need to see M80 put Hawk in a position where he can succeed in this tank matchup, right? I think that's where a lot of the pressure is going to come from. Hawk is no stranger to going up against someone and rarely has been able to come out on top. I can't personally think of a time, and he was obviously on a team with Donghack. He got rotated in a whole lot to sort of, take that kind of matchup there. I think that's where one of the biggest risks is for M80. Elsewhere though, this will be the greatest challenge that Toronto Defiant has faced in the North American region, and finally M80 have all their pieces in place, including in the United States properly, to take them on.
I'm curious for your opinion. I feel like you're going to know if... yeah, I am. I know I rarely am. Usually I say that and then I just tune out, but no, this time I'm actually serious. I think you're going to know how this series is going to go rather quickly.
Okay,
I think how this first map goes, I think you're going to know how close these two teams are, and you're either going to see a gap or you're going to see something that could go the distance, like the desk predicted. Do you get that same feeling?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I'm really looking in the tank role, but I do think after the first round or so, you'll sort of start to see that manifest a bit. M80 here, we've seen this on OWCS from them as well. Hawk picking this diva when there is a bit of verticality involved in the map, and generally, if she can get a pitched battle against the Winston, she fares quite well. I also like the Pelicans on the Torb. This is going to try and at least attempt to keep Sugar Free a little bit quieter. Good comp here from M80. Very different lineups for both these teams. Only one duplicate hero in the Lucio.
Yeah, definitely puts a little bit more pressure, on a Sugar Free, right? Putting that, pressure on the back line, going at Pelican with that Torb. It's also a little bit easier to kind of keep Happy up in this type of situation.
Someone went in for something, ends up coming back and getting Suzu'd, kept alive, but Toronto under a fair bit of pressure early on here. M80 actually, in theory, have counter picks in a couple of different roles. Happy though, able to bring RuPaul down. That's not great for Toronto, who already have the Lucio to operate with now. Things are going to go from bad to worse if they stick around here.
Now that's massive, right? I know there's no way they can really kind of push in without that Kariko, so they're going to back up. M80 gets control of the point first and gets that first kill, which really kind of results in Toronto just backing all the way out. So far, so good for M80.
We haven't seen Merit be quiet too many times in his career. So far, though, it's been an inauspicious start to the round for Toronto. Force back once more as Hawk turns up to accost this Sojourn. And Pelican again now getting harassed down, eventually found by someone. A dangerous battle for someone to take against the Torb. There's actually a lot of really risky engagements that he could be taking. Now able to win out in them though in a big way. Sugar Free, Pulse Bomb stuck to the wall there, catches Liar, and someone's easily able to bring Happy down after that splash damage. Toronto now will be in control.
Yes, they try and actually drop an Amp Matrix there from Ultraviolet to kind of keep things going with a Deadeye on through it. But it's a Pulse Bomb from Sugar Free from behind, takes out the Cassidy, and then everything kind of crumbles after that. So they do get that first pick on the Pelican, then get Happy down. Things fall apart. I'm curious how they go about this, right? Attacking attacking with the Torbjorn. The Torbjorn's pretty good once you kind of get control of the point, right? Pushing in, being the offensive, being the proactive team with the Torb can be a bit tough.
Getting to police the off angles, though, and make it harder for Sugar-Free rather to walk up on them is pretty important. Someone chased down, has to use Primal there as Hawk gets involved with the micro rockets. Someone, though, able to turn a weakness into a strength. Able to drop down now and disperse all of M80, allowing for Merritt to pick up a Liar that was sent flying with an assist of the Winston in that kill feed. Toronto maintains some control here.
Someone is so good. Like, he gets into that situation there. I know the hindrance has the Primal Rage going and still able to make it in and out with his life as he's going to jump in over the top. It's going to be a sound barrier here for M80. Kind of counter the Kitsune rush comes through from the Defiant. The Defiant holding on to this beat.
Oh, they could be now. Yep, someone goes a little bit low, and the timing of that is absolutely beautiful. I love seeing teams do this. Come in with the second beat. Happy they're able to pick off Merritt. Self-destruct here will allow Hawk to refresh the mech. And M80, despite, having the earlier sound barrier, might be able to find some success here. Someone a little bit low, but not too bothered, is able to jump out, and Happy gets removed by Sugar-Free. The Defiant not fully giving up, but they will concede the point for now.
Yeah. I mean, they get that kill on a Happy. Let's see if they try and re-engage. It looks like they just back up for just a split second, get another player back in the fight. Now they're going to go.
Going in. Hawk under pressure. Bubble already used, though, by someone here. Sugar-Free highly aware, of course, that Pelican will have reset a turret. More than happy just instead to work on Hawk. They may have got to give up a bit of ground here, but have gotten into the lead now in terms of that capture percentage. And Merritt has to back up again. Happy trying to take some liberties, take some space here in the middle part of the map. And the defense matrix means Toronto can start to push forward, get aggressive. Sugar-Free force a recall instantly, and Merritt taken down by a rivet headshot. Happy's going to back away with the Baptiste with the Immortality Field, keeps the Cassidy in the fight. Has to be another Primal for someone, and Sugar-Free follows up to remove the Cass.
Yeah, and Hawk is getting quite low. They're going to have to try and keep him up, keep him in mech, as it's going to be M80 getting it into overtime. So they kind of got what they wanted here. Hold on to the point for this long
Great
now.
Suzu timing there as someone took a fair bit of damage trying to dive. The Defiant, though, want to reach a bit further. They haven't capped the point yet. We're in overtime. Sugar-Free finally gets rid of the Engineer. The Kitsune Rush allows the Defiant to surge forward. They've used all those big ultimates. Nothing really to work with for M80, and a self-imposed stagger by Hawk, who has to jump off the map.
Interesting is Toronto actually just kind of moves
this is
up
so
here.
based.
Maybe they want to catch some of these players here up on this up on the bosses. They want to prevent them from even getting out of the spawn. Maybe see if they can find an early pickoff here that could kind of steal this first round.
An attempt at stagger maxing from the Defiant has to be cancelled out there. As M80 will be coming out of spawn in force and in numbers. Still just the pulse bomb to rely on here. Liar's beat. Absolutely crucial. He was highlighted at the start of the game as someone who really had to step up here against a scary Defiant roster. Molten Core, a lot of coverage on that. Tough for the Defiant to stand up here, and Hawk might have an opportunity to burn Merritt down. He's so low and he gets the kill. Self-destruct just to secure it. Elsewhere, Sugar-Free's pulse bomb finally found purchase, but M80 have navigated this beautifully. Someone mostly kept in spawn with that Primal Rage, and there is a touch. I think Sugar-Free, very, very low, was able to keep things going, eventually removed, and the round taken by M80.
And this is the M80 we thought we would see, right? That could definitely give Toronto a run for their money. I know we got players historically who've played, obviously, at the same level, been of the same caliber of the Defiant. So they take round number one with this D.Va Torbjorn setup. And I wonder if they kind of try and run it yet again. It looks like at least Toronto, there'll be some changes here coming in with Sugar-Free potentially playing this Genji in combination with a Cassidy and Baptiste and a Risa in the mix, where M80 looks like they're going to be moving away from their comp as well.
Just a reminder, Toronto are 34-1 in map score over the course of this stage 2.
It's pretty good.
They are absolutely dominant. So this would be quite a shock here, even up against an opposition like M80, who in the past the Defiant have handled pretty comfortably in straight games. Now really feeling the pressure though. M80 are a different beast, with all their pieces now in the same locale, so to speak. They're able to get the most out of their DPS. Toronto here take this high ground position through the middle part of the map. We're going to have a rush mirror here. Someone more than happy to match tanks should it be required after the Winston round doesn't go the way he would have liked.
Yeah, I think Toronto, they're fine if, M80 wants to push on in, right? That's where Merit can get good value out of that. Cassidy is, oh, yeah, look at that. I mean, it's going to be Sugar Free putting some pressure onto Happy. Can't even really look at him, and that allows Merit to just get some free shots off. Takes out Happy pretty much instantly. Look at this pressure coming in from Sugar Free.
Yeah, I mean, you've used the word twice now, and it's very true because Sugar Free doesn't need to get kills on his own there. The fact that he makes Happy turn, or at least sort of stresses Happy's mental bandwidth enough that Merit can punish is huge. Sugar Free confidently going in, even if there's not like a dash reset guaranteed, he has the deflect, and if Happy can, capitalize and sort of turn that fight around.
I mean, just creating free, easy sightlines for Merit to shoot is enough, right? How good Merit is. He's going to come up with some
and Sugar Free can just dash out if Merit does get the kill, which is, a pretty big deal. It kind of justifies the Genji playing aggressive in the first place. Laya takes a bit of damage there from that Deadeye, but Merit pulls it maybe a little early. Still, M80 have not had the point yet this round. Now an Amp makes just to contend with. They are getting the heck out of there. That is not something they have any chance of winning. Forced back into spawn with Pelican dropping once more.
Yeah, they find Pelican. He's like in a corner there trying to contest.
Oh, buddy.
Someone pushes up to the spawn. This is not a great position for UV. He's going to use the immortality field, trying to keep himself alive for a little bit. As round 2 looking much more different than round number 1, as this one's been all Defiant.
Crucially for M80, at least they have a beat that they can match. They're going to be waiting for their Sugar-Free blade, and I would suggest that the Defiant will hold on to theirs as long as possible to make sure they can be advantaged when the fight really comes to a head. It's got to be here for M80. They have to make something happen. Looks very, very good up against the Winston with that D.Va setup. That's a Hawk special. This one, though, having to win out in the mirror is a tough ask. Play from Sugar Free doesn't actually force the beat from Laya whatsoever.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, well, I think they knew that Sugar Free probably wasn't going to fully commit, right? Didn't gonna get a dash on through, just use it to get some zoning, and they didn't end up using the beat. Now they do, down a player.
Okay, at least able to trade it out though. Hawk found Sugar Free in the end, but Vega is holding onto the beat. No reason to use it here. Someone is just not low enough to justify it. So they'll have a huge beat advantage now in an overtime fight. Merit's been able to find the Lucio after the fact. Ultraviolet with a heck of a lot on his plate right now, and the damage is real for Hawk. Nothing he can do to withstand it. And even from long range, someone's being topped up through that Amp Matrix healing via Rupal. And Happy can only make these tiny little peaks. It's not enough. We have at least achieved a stall here as Pelican instantly recalled after touching the point, and here come M80 behind that Kitsune Rush. The Defiant diligently just disengage.
Yeah, they back out. They don't want to fight this, even though they're up one player at the moment. As Hawk coming back inside the rush. As Sugar Free back on Tracer, forces the recall of Pelican. So maybe now it's time to go for the Defiant.
Sugar Free on the off angle. Has to respect, though, someone like Happy turning around and ripping him in two. Pelican a pulse bomb now. Any target's a good target at this point, especially with someone down to half HP. There it is, there's the pulse. No real connect on it, but someone gets brought down eventually. Happy had the damage follow-up, even with the Terror Surge from Hawk to set up some displacement.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, a bit of chaos there kind of ensues, right? It was we get into OT, but it's a nice Kitsune Rush there from Ultraviolet that kind of clears the point there, allows M80 to get the point in, importantly, stay in this round here. It'll now be Toronto moving around the outside. Doesn't really have anything to work with at the moment. Maybe just trying to build up this Amp Matrix.
Once again, it's Sugar Free, this time close to a pulse bomb. And Amp Matrix from Rupal is almost guaranteed to clear the point. M80 have to be ready for a disengage away from that and have a way to cycle a player on to stall out. Merit doesn't need the Amp Matrix. Again, another ability that creates a heck of a lot of space very quickly. Sugar Free now in. Oh, Hawk! An Amp Matrix disappeared right in front of him, and Sugar Free got a full clip of damage through it. Here's the Terror Surge from someone. Laya gets brought down by that. And M80 are in no position to recover now. They don't have enough time. Someone cleans them up. And that'll be one apiece here on Samoa.
Oh, I mean, that is a really interesting, very difficult Amp Matrix to deal with, right? Rupal drops it like on the M80 side of the entrance to the point, and they're able to like kind of shoot both ways on through it, right? Players coming from the spawn or players that backed up, and then also Hawk in a really dangerous position on the point takes a ton of damage. So really nice use of it from the Defiant to tie this one up.
Yeah, they literally dropped the Amp on Hawk. And we're on Sugar Free. We're on Sugar Free's POV, and so kind of from any angle you can guarantee a damage amp because Orisa's model is so wide. You just play from either side of the wall, and you are guaranteed to get huge amount of amp from that. Toronto looked really good there in the Orisa mirror. They were dominant for most of the round. Now they're going to mix it up. Sigma here on this map is not uncommon. And Toronto more than happy to, again, put some pressure down on Hawk, maybe force a switch or just try and make the Sigma work here.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Hawk would be totally fine taking like a Sigma head-to-head, right, against someone. I think Hawk probably prefers that than trying to play this Orisa into the Sigma.
The sim is really interesting.
I'm curious of, yeah, I think it's like happy, right? Building up these railgun shots at range, right? With, not a ton of range on the side of the Defiant. It's like this Hawk, it's really aggressive. They just run right through someone's shield and take him out.
Trade at least for Sugar Free, but that's obviously the issue with the Sigma comp. If the enemy team's able to rush up on you with that speed boost, you're in deep trouble. Hawk found merit there, and yet Toronto was still able to flip the point early. They've got extreme mobility because of this Symmetra teleporter. And Sugar Free obviously getting to trade one kill after someone went down was a big deal. I have to give it up, but nice little passage of play here. Both these teams, feverish pace they're bringing.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have to try and figure out how to keep someone alive, right? Once that shield is gone, you're going to see them just kind of run him down. As look at this, it's going to be an Ant Matrix there, just dropped straight through the TP.
Oh, Merit found a headshot there. Looked like there could have been something, but Pelican gets the one clip and finishes off the Cassidy. Someone has to play back behind this now. TP gets rushed through by Hawk, who seems to have a good idea of how to, really make it uncomfortable for Sigma to play in any of these pockets. And with Pelican running through your backline here, Toronto might have to switch.
Yeah. I think you have to. I just don't think the Sigma is kind of the answer here, especially with how fast M80 is playing around this Orisa. You have open sightlines for Happy at range. The Sigma just allows them to kind of build up those rails even faster. So if it was me, I would say we probably need to get a little bit of a change up going. But with Sugar Free not swapping, I think you're going to see them commit.
Okay. Someone here determined that Sigma is in fact the answer. But how do they keep M80 at arm's reach by getting the most out of this longer range poke potential? Because Pelican is creeping up. Affected by a turret instantly, but Hawk rushes on in. So it was the Pulse Bomb that got rid of the Immortality Field, and there was nothing to protect them there from Hawk's Terror Surge. This is beautiful from M80. They are dominating this last round.
Yeah, this one has been a clean sweep this round so far for M80 as Toronto. I think you're so invested in this comp though at the moment, right? You have the Sim ult, you're going to have the Sigma ult. There's no way you kind of give these up now, especially with 85% on the point. You're kind of all in.
Close to a Gravitic Flux here, but that's going to be Liar's beat committed to nullify that entirely. Okay, yeah, Matrix Deadeye, Ultraviolet just caught out in the open. They got the Immortality Field. I think Ultraviolet was banking on keeping that one up and staying alive, but cleverly, that was removed. So at the death, Toronto able to get back in control and hold a couple ultimates.
I mean, we'd have to get another look at that. It looked like actually Merit was like booped up potentially by Liar, and it kind of like sent him up in the sky, and he was able to get one with the Deadeye there. So, because it looked like he was going to try and like boop him back, but if you kind of like walk over the side of a ledge, depending on where you're aiming the boop, it can kind of like change the direction. Looked like it kind of sent him up instead of out. Now
very
it's a
risky.
Crazy play.
It's really risky to boop a Cassidy during that Deadeye. Especially if you have like a Primal Rage and you start juggling a Cassidy and Deadeye, it can go really badly for you. Here's the overclock for Happy. Someone the only target he can perceive right now, and the Symbol's going to completely negate this ultimate.
Yeah, Simwall just splits the point as well, allows everybody to play a little bit safer as UV gets quite low, but no push coming in here for Toronto at the moment.
Big damage on someone. He still needs to respect. They give a lot of proximity to this Orisa. 2 caught in the flux, if I'm not mistaken, but the Orisa, of course, just fortifies out of it. Sound barrier from Liar, who'd been holding on to it for literally the entire round for just that situation, has the prescribed antidote. Merit here. Just trying to time that hindrance, maybe to make it impossible for Happy to slide up and out of the point, and someone's in deep trouble. Kinetic Grasp will only prolong his life by a short amount, and eventually Hawk will fill him with bullets. 1 for 1 though. Merit was able to find Happy, but now is at risk of being environmental, let alone killed in general. And Ultraviolet has that Immortality Field here, which will help Hawk out in a big way. And there you have it, M80.
Yeah.
What a performance here. Taking the second map away from the Toronto Defiant here throughout this entire stage. And they look good doing it. They stick to their guns and they come up with the answer.
And you see there at the end, if the Sigma has to step up and kind of play in the same space as the Orisa is going to win. No, Hawk just able to kind of like put so much damage down on someone, push him out of the way, and they're able to deal with that tank rather quickly. They're never really able to deal with Hawk when he's on the Orisa on the point there at the end.
3 different tanks from someone, right? Plays the Winston, plays the Orisa, plays the Sigma, and there's just an utter refusal to make any switches, which is fair. There's probably a belief that like you either have a good matchup or you just think you can outplay at the end of the day. But we talked about a tank gap being something someone wanted to create with counter picks. But more often than not, a lot of someone's tank picks were actually a little weaker against what Hawk brought, like the Winston up against the Diva. That's maybe debatable. We saw the Orisa matchup, and then the Sigma getting that space taken away by the Orisa on these smaller maps really seemed to struggle to set up and facilitate the rest of that poke comp to succeed.
Yeah, they would have needed to switch off of the Sigma like straight away. It was just they were so committed to it for the rest of the round. This was some sick stuff here from Sugar Free on the Genji, able to kind of get a few dashers, pick up some kills. But yeah, they were so committed to the Sigma. There was nothing they could really do at that moment, right? Get up to a point where it's like 85% on the points. You're still working towards your flux. You're almost there. You kind of have to commit to that.
And Desk said they were looking for the Pelican Tracer to be a difference maker, and at many points in this round they were. That Pulse Bomb there, while it doesn't get a kill, gets rid of the only piece of defensive architecture that the Defiant can depend on, that Immortality field. So once the Terror Surge came in for Hawk, it was all too easy. Really impressive stuff here from M80. I think it's very easy to say at this point that they've come an extremely long way, and it's nice to see someone finally put the fear of God in a team like the Toronto Defiant. Now they're going to have to respect their opponents in M80.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, they're going to have to wake, like, it's a little bit of a wake-up call for Toronto, right? I mean, they're just kind of cruising through everybody. Even if they see M80 on the other side, they're probably just kind of like, laughing a little bit, like, all right, like, whatever, we'll just play something. And now it's like, okay, they can beat us. Like, what do we... And I think now you look at Toronto and like, okay, can they step up? Like, that is interesting stats there for a map 1 win. Not typical of Overwatch, right?
How much of this is as a result of that second round with the Orisa Mirror, where M80 looked really dominant for so much of that map? That is generally a very significant difference between these teams. But M80, clearly, with less eliminations, were able to find the ones that counted, the ones that really mattered. We have bands of Hollywood and Eichenwalder respectively here. Toronto don't want to play Eichenwalder. Interesting. They like the Winston, but maybe they wouldn't be forced into any maps where they have to take that Orisa Mirror. Because Midtown is definitely one where we've seen like Ramacha. We've definitely also seen that Sigma played here. But they look good in the Orisa Mirror. They could absolutely succeed there.
Yeah.
What are they up to?
I mean, what? Sigma, Diva, potentially here, right? Ramacha we've seen. So potentially M80 wants to play some different things, other than the Orisa. That's how you kind of end up here. We've also seen, interesting backlines here, right? Ilari plus, Lifeweaver. We've seen, Brigitte here. So look at this. So Toronto, they'll come out with defense here with the Ashe in the mix, and then they'll have someone on the Orisa. So Baptiste Brig backline here, trying to help support this Ashe potentially if, the aggression comes through.
All right. Someone more than happy. I guess the Orisa can drop down and really contest that choke up close and personal. And sometimes these Sigma comps have to maneuver themselves into a position to find some success. I'm curious to see what the plan is. I want to hear from M80 here with some team comps. How are they going to get this poke comp set up?
Yeah, they use their places.
Hey, let's see what they're on.
All right, let's go.
What is that?
Wait, Orisa?
I'm going Lucio. I'm going Lucio.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't want to play Brig against.
Okay, well, yeah, he's a Lucio player.
Yeah.
They have Ashe.
Ashe?
Okay, Meat Hawk can stay main. I can bait really hard hot. I'm gonna play kite main.
I'm going left side.
Face to left side.
Oh,
Are you
Brig.
happy?
Oh, I think we can't go side.
Oh,
Okay.
come back, they're gonna push.
Back
We can bait.
Back half. Ash one.
Break.
Nice, Brig.
I think we have to.
Shield.
Oh,
Kill up, check.
we need to break. I think.
Okay.
Can't go side.
Brig.
This is side.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
go
That's
Brig.
fine.
I go Brig. They're gonna be in square. They're 50 square.
I go left side.
Okay, I'm not there yet. I'm a little late.
Sting Ash.
How about cast getting left? Can we shield our cast?
I'm going left. I'm okay.
okay.
I have no shield. I have
Here,
no
I'm
shield.
playing here.
Stay main.
Yeah.
I go left side. They push me.
Done mate.
Keep with you.
Yeah,
I'm walking back, man. Walking back,
I'm
man.
FPing left side.
I'm going towards point.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm going towards point 2. You live, you live.
You good? You good?
You're good. You're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Come here, come here.
Look up here, look up here. I'm waiting.
Help me.
They're walking. They're walking.
Put it,
Okay, I need heal. I need heal. I need heal. I need heal.
Tell
Oh, I'm
me.
dead. I'm dead.
Up
You're
top,
even.
up top.
Yeah, you shoot bat.
I'm shooting Rista. I'm shooting Rista. I'm shooting Rista. He's isolated. He's isolated.
Shoot bat, shoot bat,
Help
shoot bat.
Holy point. Help Holy point.
Yeah,
I get
I'm up point.
Air square Bob.
That's-
Square Bob faster.
Hey, Happy, we can come back right window. Happy, come back right, come back right.
Yep.
Hawk live, Hawk live.
Yeah,
Here's one.
I'm back soon. I'm back soon.
3, 2,
I packed
one.
Holy.
Oh, they're not here, they're not here.
I slept. Come right, come right, come right, come right, come right, come right. Help me. Get the.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
I need heal.
I can walk up soon.
Rista going left, Rista going left.
Bob Arista. Care Bob Arista.
Ash.
Nice, secure.
Rista turning.
Can we?
Oh.
Up one up point, secure.
Tracer on me. Help me.
Help
Hey,
player,
come forward.
help player.
I can't. The Tracer's on me. No recall. Kill that guy. He's high ground. He's high ground.
Carry, I'm coming back and carry like Hawk.
Yeah.
I'm almost there, Hawk. I'm unhappy,
Touch, can touch.
They use Pulse Arista. They have Bob. Care Bob.
Left side.
Very happy.
You guys live. We're coming back with ults. Just live. Just live.
Backing.
Yeah.
Play your lives. I'm back. Can we go back with new?
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, go right side.
Come right.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, go point. They don't window. They go point. Come
Yeah,
point.
just
Okay,
go point.
open.
Tracer a recall. Tracer a recall.
Can me. I'm gonna can me.
I'm rally. Oh, okay.
Bubble.
Rista. No gold, right?
Rista.
They have rally. 3, 2, 1.
Break.
Secure.
Tracer.
Care bash.
Tracer guy, tracer point.
Tracer. Carry me.
Tracer.
Push. You need it.
Tracer already. Tracer one.
Tap done.
Put you on.
Nice.
Yes.
Can
Hey,
me.
keep turning it, call, okay?
Help happy.
Oh, that's fine. I have carry ult soon, I'm staying.
You'll be swap.
We didn't really want to cut off the team comms there, folks, because that
was
is
sick.
like a very complex situation for the SIG comp to navigate, and great comms is absolutely essential to it. Great job by M80. A very long fight that took a lot of work to get Hawk into a good position.
Yeah, and you can hear Hawk coming a lot of the times, especially, when I think he saw actually RuPaul and potentially Vega up in the subway. It's like, let's go right, like not pushing around that left-hand side of the fire truck, right? Put pressure on the support, split the opposing team. So really awesome. We're able to listen into some of those comms, get a really good idea of what teams are trying to do, where they're trying to force positions.
Liar is trying to do everything he can not to play Brick. He's like, oh, no. It's interesting how the calling's...
Hey, I respect it.
He's also empowered to make that decision for himself, which is quite interesting. A very democratic calling structure here for M80. They're going to be rotating back to the cart now to try and get some push going. As have Hawk now switching back over to the Orisa. Tough business to try and bring someone down. Took a lot of work, and Happy was instrumental in that first fight, Matt. Some really big individual picks from the Cassidy to open the way for M80.
Yeah, some damage from Merit, but no real kills on the Ash, right? I know we had that Bob that just got on there contested, but no big dynamites really or any connections there towards the end. So that is a Vega whip shot there that takes Liar out. So that's a huge first pick.
Brick's good.
No speed.
Brick's good. Very powerful there. Someone able to bring Hawk down to get caught inside the subway. Got found without a ticket. You hate to see it. They're pretty vigilant about that in New York City. Not. M80 here.
Yeah, you can kind of skip it.
Yeah, I've seen it more of as like a
jump.
formality than a hard and fast rule kind of thing.
You just can't jump over the thing. You're good.
Don't do that at home, kids.
Not advice, but
For legal reasons, that is a joke.
seen people do it.
Don't endorse it though. Yeah, mate, well, yeah, that's my story for now. Someone playing up close here. Force back a little bit. Again, creating the space for this Deadeye is really important, but Hawk's not able to, and it's just too easy to cross and Pulse Bomb Happy down.
That's a dynamite in there. I mean, you get the damage reduction, right? It's not that much damage, though. I mean, Pulse Bomb, Dynamite, you try and wrap around that corner. Does not work out for M80. So, although they end up getting that first point, it's really awesome to listen to the comps. It did take a little bit long to kind of like for that play to develop, right? So now you're about a minute to go here for M80's attack, and they're going to make some changes. So Genji Sojourn here gives them a little bit more offensive burst for the high ground.
Yeah, that first fight taking as long as it did here means that M80 has a lot of ground to make up now. The Genji here, you talked about it on Samoa, about pressure, about setting up a Happy. Deflect a few shots through the air matrix doesn't hurt either. RuPaul has to take a bit of a different angle now as the Kitsune Rush is throwing down up on that high ground, but RuPaul's actually able to find Happy from that off angle. How does he get that? Ridiculous. Eventually brought down by Pelican. The damage already done. Pelican, though, inside the blender. As Hawk throws that Terror Surge down, and it's easy for dash resets to come. Someone who stands his ground, tries to fight Hawk, but Asuzu was available, and still it's going to be a trade of Orisa's in the end. The Defiant, though, going to give some ground or come back in. Yeah. With some ultimates, and of course, an unanswered Terror Surge, but I'm looking at Liar. I'm looking at that beat.
Well, they played that aggressive for that kill, right? Because look at this, Hawk is now going to have to come back on the Winston just to get a touch here. It's a respawn advantage, huge for the Defiant.
Not a good matchup into the Orisa. Definitely something to be avoided most of the time, and Pelican goes
they
down.
lose Pelican.
Liar. Not able to get the beat timing.
Sick.
I mean, just too much burst damage going that way. Vega gonna fall. Liar at least able to pick up a kill there, redeeming themselves in a big way. Someone finds the last Lucio standing. And with Merit taking Hawk out of the game, this should be a stop for the Toronto Defiant. There's only the Tracer, or rather the Genji, left to work with. There won't be a touch at all for them. Ultraviolet down to a pulse.
Yeah, it feels like RuPaul's come up with some really big kills, right? I know once they get to that second point on the Baptiste, able to do some really nice work. So that'll be M80 getting the first point, and then getting just about to finishing the second checkpoint. So not a terrible offense at all for M80, which a map win here, I think you really need to kind of like, if you were M80 and in between this, like stress how important this map is. We talked about how Toronto, right? They're what, like you said, they only dropped one map, right? Win 30 plus here in stage 2. To find themselves down 2-0, that is a scenario that this team, as a unit, has not really been in, right? You can kind of force that, really start to get in their head a little bit.
Yeah, and also just showing you're not afraid of them, you also don't sort of respect them that much is really important. M80 were not expecting Toronto to be playing the Orisa, right? They look like, oh, wow, Orisa, okay. That's important, and that's something that someone's able to manufacture because you never know what they're going to be playing. They have a deep hero pool, and they are always looking quite often to generate an advantage in the 1 versus 1. Sometimes playing into a counter pick and thinking that they can win. That's someone for you. Let's listen here to the story from the Defiant. How are they going to put together this attack with not that far through the map to push?
We came back on the left side, him.
I can warm up. I'm just gonna shoot main for a second, and then when they back, I can take left. How they call?
Sigma.
Big. Hans. Is that Hanzo? Hanzo. Hanzo Torp. Hanzo Torp.
Hanzo Torp, yeah.
Hold it, huh? Freak.
Come out.
Left.
Yep. We're walking up now.
Hold it, attention me. They're looking for brick. They're looking for push.
Yeah.
Torp Hanzo left.
Oh, put it back. I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
시간. 100 point.
Yeah, Hanzo
Hanzo
left.
low. Hanzo low.
시간. 시그널. I'm shooting brick.
Can't speak.
Wait, they may be
돌면.
Terminally. I'm gonna push. Ready?
시간. 노시. 한조.
Turp.
윈도스.
I'm swinging.
How's the one?
내 윈도. 돌배 앞.
Walked out, nice.
야, 컨다. 대 윈도.
Yeah.
Okay, wait.
Give me stagger Sigma.
오케이.
That's it.
Okay.
대 윈도.
Window.
I want to break.
Yeah, I think you stop break.
Oh, yeah.
I'll stop break.
Yeah, go break.
레이시어 블락 플레이, okay?
This point, we've traced it.
Yeah, 블락 플레이. If they try to touch our widow.
I would have. Yeah.
Remarkably different communications here from the Toronto Defiant. Much clearer. And again, like, sort of less to talk about, but we saw the impact of that Widow here, Matt. No insta-kills, but an unreal amount of heal pressure on M80's defensive comp.
Yeah, a lot of damage that comes down from the Widow, and you're also just playing this Ilari Baptiste backline. Well, you were at the moment as Vega switches over to the Brig, but there's a lot of damage with that backline as well. Just look at this. It's an Matrix set up on the high ground there from RuPaul. Puts Hawk in a really weird spot, and they also get a kill and a happy already.
This Matrix here, a little speculative. Easy for the Toronto Defiant to fold away from this and could be completely unbothered by it. Or dive in. Use that, immortality field just to protect them against any of that ridiculous burst damage. And this is a dominant attacking side from the Toronto Defiant. Infra side up for Merit here is a very scary prospect for MA to walk into, especially Happy in the Widow mirror.
Yeah, it was like, how are they going to bounce back from losing a map? Looks like they have just been crushing it here on their offensive side. This will be Merit with walls. Going to have infra sight here. Going to be able to see exactly what's going on.
Importantly, Sugar Free can see where Happy is. That is the play. To put pressure down on that Widowmaker is going to be important. Big fight started up here by M80, though. Happy getting pressured down. Merit, though, getting caught in the locus of that fight somehow. So M80 do a great job. They say, well, they kind of know where we are anyway, so we may as well make it obvious what we're trying to do. Great rushdown fight here. Not something that the Sigma comp is always able to pivot into, Matt. But that was quite convincing.
Yeah, they're even with the walls on the other side, right? They're able to just kind of like push on up straight through. Is Merit now is going to move away from the Widow. It's going to go and play the Sojourn here. So I think you're kind of like, okay, we're not going to just kind of get in this Widowmaker duel, right? Because sometimes like the game just starts to be a little bit of like a lull, right? It's like Widowmaker versus Widowmaker, and everybody's kind of waiting, right? You lose time there as Pelican finds Sugarfree on the flank. So now you might have to wait a little bit longer, where this is not a done deal, right? Toronto with a great point A take, but this is like the hardest part of the map to do it.
By far. And Happy's happy to stick on the Widow. I mean, we've seen Happy try and play this pick against multiple teams on the attacking side, especially in the last phase of the map, which is not historically very good for her. But he's a big fan. It's just how he likes to play. Shield there. Hastily has to be thrown up by someone, as Happy is on the hunt, as always.
The respawn advantage is crazy here for M80 on defense, right? As this is an Amp Matrix use here from RuPaul, and they end up using their rally here.
Flux.
Huge fight here.
That's a big flux, man. That is huge. Liar caught up inside that one. Ultraviolet went for an Amp Matrix by the looks of things, and Sugarfree is able to finish it off. Great little pulse stick to deal with Hawk. And eventually, the Defiant can just lean into it, this sheer weight of ultimates to try and win the fight out. Vega, okay, no longer on the brick here.
Yeah. You're gonna need to win another fight, though.
Happy switched off the Widow. Again, it's just too close now. These fights are happening with not enough room for the Widow to be able to get her. Whoa!
Wait, what?
You know, let that be proof that it happens to the best of us. The best of them, not me. I wouldn't. I mean, I might do that, but it's pretty unlikely. Okay, maybe I would do that, but that was still...
Pelican touched. And then some... Yeah, that's a loss there for M80. Which is unfortunate, but they were getting close to rally. I'm sure we'll be able to kind of take a look at that, but they were getting really close to rally. Would you get rally there where the clock's at? That's an opportunity to win that map.
Yeah, big time. Again, that fight probably needs to go pretty well for them in general. They are forced to filter out, but like you mentioned, the spawn advantage is quite significant for them. That force the Defiant.
Well, Toronto just used everything too.
Yeah.
Toronto just used all their ults. I mean, that was a fight where you had a significant advantage.
Yeah, again, a moment there for M80, the defending team. Just a bit of communication breakdown, or maybe like we've seen in the past, like it's based on a misconception, something just not quite going the way it's supposed to. But this is the matchup that you can't afford to make any of those, even tiny mistakes against the Toronto Defiant. Anyway, looking back over the course of the map, I loved being on board with the M80 comms and their attacking side. Really intricate how they had to work this, Sigma into position. They had to deal with Bob, I think came out a couple times. Their first fight was really great to watch. We saw M80 get slowed down big time in the second phase, though.
Yeah, two very drastic styles of like calming when we do the listen-ins, right? M80, I feel like very, fast-paced, everybody kind of calming. It seems like on the other side for the Defiant, very calm, composed. Not a ton of useless information kind of going back and forth, right?
Yeah, we will get a chance to see how the sort of C9 played out in just a second here, but in general, right? Couple of the key things we talked about here was like what the support comps are going to look like. A lot of eyes on those here. The tank matchup, someone obviously was always going to be confident, but Hawk is in his wheelhouse. I think on that Sigma, that's really where he's able to shine. I think this fight here with Merit being able to cause so many problems in the backline with the Soj and then the Flux following after, that's what put M80 on the back foot.
Yeah, and then the next fight is the one where so you get a touch there from Pelican on the side, right?
Okay, we're moving up.
Let's see. Do we see a stun come through? Does it hit the brig? Yeah, it looks like the stun actually hit the brig coming around the corner, right? Yeah, that's a liar there that gets hit with the stun. So what's funny is he hits the accretion and then even starts to back up because he probably thinks they're going to contest, and he actually pushes the cart forward and wins it. So that is unfortunate there for M80 as potentially... an opportunity if you had a rally there to get a hold, or at least make it really interesting, take it down to the wire.
Tank head-to-head between someone and Hawk, and someone look able to stay alive a heck of a lot more of the times here. And again, what we don't sort of show is the eliminations or final blows here, but ultimately someone comes up with much more of a flattering stat line if you want to use kill death as anything to go by. And that's going to happen. But here's a reality. Sigma's probably Hawk's best tank. This is probably his best look. And, you know, going up against someone, I'll just say it like that, you know, want to put yourself in the strongest position. I talked about that. Position Hawk to have favorable tank matchups. But even then, even like mirroring, you know, on your potentially best hero, you're still going to struggle against a world-class talent like someone. M80's advantages have to originate from elsewhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I think they can get an advantage in terms of the tank, right? I think that just potentially a tough map, right? I don't think like it's, oh, well, you're never going to win the tank battle, especially, you know, in the kind of like, you know, Sigma head-to-head. I definitely think you can for M80, where looks like here at the start on Colosseo, you have some options, right? You know, with some longer range sight lines. So it looks like both teams going to hover the Sojourn. I think that's to be expected. But Hawk actually hovering the Sigma, where the Sigma can put a ton of chip damage down, you know, as you're coming in, right? We talk about the Orisa trying to close the gap, get past the shield. This sight line is so long, it's actually pretty difficult to do so.
We actually have seen M80 come out with Sigma on this map before. They, I believe, even had a Widow for Happy in the past, and I sort of dubbed that the do we respect you comp? You know what I mean? Eventually they were forced off of it in one of their previous matches and had to play something a little bit more standard, but they will stay with the Sigma here. So, you know, again, we're dealing with the dichotomy. Can someone rush up, rush down the Sigma, get rid of that shield or get past it here to put pressure on that tank? Or can Hawk, you know, really work with the rest of M80 here and get great damage at long range to apply pressure that way?
I mean, this is also a like an opportunity where, okay, let's let both Sojourns just try and find, you know, some damage in a shot. The downside of the Sigma is you see him just build up the charge on that shield, where Hawk's being a little bit more cautious with it.
Someone forced back there. That's the issue, I guess, is that when you've used your defensive cooldowns, you don't really have a shield to stand behind as Orisa. Might mean M80 get to make some incremental progress here, but so far it's been dogged contest around the bot. Not even out of the sort of neutral zone here. So neither team making any progress so far.
I think you're going to see just kind of this until like one of the Sojourns gets a pick, right? Whether it's like on a tracer or support in the back line. Maybe now you can go, right? That's the immortality field out from M80, and then now they use the Kitsune Rush and they push on through.
Such a good job at identifying an opening to start a fight here, but Mera gets picked off. I think Hawk goes after the Sojourn. It might have been to slide in for this fight, but you've lost your Sigma here. Despite there being no Sojourn on the other side, the Orisa still has a legitimate damage threat in her own right. This means that the Defiant get to start now with this early, slim lead.
Yeah, once they actually see that immortality field go down, and then they also have their Kitsune Rush, they just combo and they just push on right through. So really nice read there from the Defiant. They get a little bit of a lead, but not much, as we're kind of back to this you know, mid-map tussle.
Yeah, I mean, 16.9 meters just disappears in a flash here if M80 start to win a fight. So nothing really to write home about, but neither of these teams are willing to take big risks. The biggest risk that M80 took, I guess, was throwing an immortality field down pre-combat. That ended up hurting them. Pulse there, stuck on the wall. No connect. Sugar Free able to draw Hawk out of position, but someone's not really set up to capitalize on it.
No, and wait, you get a few meters here as you're getting close to potentially taking the lead. See someone step up, spear onto Hawk, knock him back. Is both teams very cautious.
Yeah, someone had to use Fortify there to not be stunned up by the accretion, though. Wants to maybe hold on to the...
hides behind the barrier.
Yeah, okay. Terra Surge used for the extra Fortify. That's very clever.
Well, yeah, that's with the flux coming down, right? So you didn't actually get gripped up. Yep. That's it.
And that's what, it's not just a damage reduction effect during Terra Surge, it's a literally Fortify that gets applied to you again. Someone realizing he has two instances of that to use there, shutting the Flux down and be more than happy to trade ults there. Flux is way stronger than Terra Surge in almost every case. Hawk, though, finds Merit again. Somehow the Sojourn is getting picked off by the Sigma here at the start of these fights. And Happy might look to try and abuse the Sojourn disparity here. Someone's got nowhere to go. Cornered on that right side.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's pretty huge that they're getting the Sojourn at the beginning. That's 2 fights in a row where Hawk is able to find Merit, and to be able to do that opens things up for M80 in a big way, as now M80, they can push up, they can try and take high ground, right? You have this ultraviolet ant matrix, which should be really aggressive here. No, really awesome as they try and make their way out of the spawn. So a few different options for M80 how they want to play it. Yeah, and here's this ant matrix I was talking about, right? Use it when they're trying to come out of the spawn, put some extra damage down, maybe it results in a kill. But worst case scenario, it just results in free progress.
Yeah, because Toronto can't really contest from that building. They just go up there to circumvent the air matrix. Big damage though on Hawk and Ultraviolet respectively. The latter, who I think ate an accretion or something similar. Or rather a spear from someone would be it. Beautiful stuff. We do spend a little bit here at Toronto, but you're able to fold away from that air matrix of Ultraviolet and still find an advantage. They might look to equalize now. Someone has pushed up quite far.
Yes, Hawk will now switch over to the Orisa. So now the only difference between these two teams is the BAP versus the Kiriko. So valuing the rush and the cleanse a little bit more, and the mobility here for the Defiant, where M80, that immortality field plus the Ant Matrix combo is so good, is not exactly getting the lead here for the Defiant. They back up. They're fine playing mid-map. Nice eat.
Someone negating the pulse bomb there. That's definitely a worthwhile use of the cooldown. Someone having to be really reactive with a lot of these defensive cooldowns. Just to, not get flux or to stop pulse bomb coming in. Shutting down ultimates one after another here. Orisa, such a menace. RuPaul there needs to fold back just a little bit. And again, someone gives up the ground. I like that Hawk here sees that someone's disengaging and wants to step up and continue to put these shots in. This means that RuPaul and Vega have to work that much harder to keep their Orisa in the fight. Such a close map.
I mean, we're like halfway through as well, right? I mean, 2 meters basically separating these two teams. Nobody really wants to push up through this mid-map, and look at this. I mean, just about, oh, that's a huge shot yet again. They've been able to find Merit a few times early, whether it be Hawk or Happy. So I was going to say, you were gearing up for a crazy fight, right? Everybody on both sides with some ultimates halfway through the game, about 2 meters separating the teams. It's felt like we were at the cusp of maybe a map-defining fight, but I know that kill is going to give even more progress to M80.
Merit's kind of famous on this map as well for having some unbelievable game-breaking moments. So far, though, he's been getting gaps. Oh, okay, Slag used in midair there by Happy Clever. I think he realized where he touched down would be pretty lethal for him. And here come M80, another consecutive fight win there. Nice terror search. And someone doesn't get to use theirs at all. Sent
it's knocked
packing.
off the side.
How? I mean, they must have got booped before the terror surge started, because you shouldn't be able to be shifted during that ult.
Yeah, and M80, you can tell they're starting to feel themselves now, right? As Happy gets up to the high ground here, has the overclock to work with, and Pelican with a pulse bomb. You can really almost put the game away here, right, with a good
Probably
push.
we're saying that here between these two teams, and M80, the one we're talking about favorably. But they are looking fantastic here on Colosseo. See the bot moving up behind all of this aggression. M80 more than happy to just take a stab, take a lunge, and get an extra 20 meters, it seems, on that bot. Here come Toronto now. Merit needs to come alive. This is the time to stand up and be counted. Okay, disrupt the shot makes it hard for Merit to advance, but here Lai just has nowhere to go. Blown out into the coast, and only disparate bits of him will be raining to the ground on the other side. Toronto Defiant get in their faces. Merit's overclock surges forward. And finally, Toronto can find some room to breathe, but they've given up so much of the map.
I mean, 60 meters, right? You got less than 3 minutes on the clock. You have no ultimates to work with the way things have been going, stalling at the middle of the map. I mean, you're looking pretty nice if you're M80 right now. You got to be talking about, like, okay, how do we slow down this pace here mid-map, get another fight, just drag this out. And then if you win it, I mean, you're in a fantastic spot.
Toronto need 2, maybe 3 good fights from here on out. First one will get them close to the checkpoint, but not quite there given the spawn advantage for the defenders. Keep an eye on those Orisa health bars. Pelican hoping to play off of that and maybe get a good stick that to end someone entirely. Here's Merit though, finally!
They jump high ground.
Fair enough. I like that. Getting up into the defender's location, making use of that. Yeah, he's getting out of there. That's fine. Can be brought back here, but Toronto lose that opportunity to potentially get the checkpoint off this fight. Very cheeky steal from M80.
Yeah, you had Hawk down there and Pelican who kind of decided to just run the bot the other direction, as you're not even going to really able to make that much progress here. If you're Toronto, yeah. So just that bot just making a beeline the other way. It's pretty bad, as what you get high ground there is really nice. Ant Matrix there for RuPaul setting up Merit. You got 2 meters out of that.
That was really cute from Toronto. From M80, rather nicely played. Pulse, okay, I thought that had stuck, but Ultraviolet is able to get away with the Exo boots. Immortality Field though also used just in case. So Sugar Free probably pretty happy with that either way. Toronto, do they have the chance to, again, surge up onto that high ground once more? Because they're running out of time to make a play, to put them at least on even footing here with M80, who can kind of just chill here. There's no reason for M80 to get overly aggressive, to take undue risks. They have like a 55-meter lead.
Well, and they can just kind of like poke here, right? Like, if they just poke, do damage, even if you lose, you still have another probably 2 fights, right? And force Toronto to kind of get aggressive, make a play as the bot just still contested here. You can contest from up on top there, just looking down, and then you also have Pelican there just jumping around.
Good pressure on Hawk though. Here's Merritt trying to, oh my goodness! That was a javelin from the low ground, if I'm not mistaken. That interrupted Merritt, and Happy could capitalize. The classic 1-2 punch between Orisa and Sojourn rears its head there. And M80 are in deep, Toronto are in deep trouble, sorry. M80 are in a great position. Merritt's so quiet, has like 1 big kill, 1 kill that's really notable, 1 kill that actually lets the Defiant take some space, but every other time it's been about Happy. Someone who got highlighted on the desk is having to step up in this matchup. You've got nowhere to go with Toronto. You just need to win 3 or 4 fights in a row. It's all but impossible.
Happy and Hawk have been able to find Merritt pretty early on in a lot of these fights. We're going to head into OT. And what's terrible for Toronto is they're running into everything from M80.
It's all bad. None of it's good. Ultraviolet with the Air Matrix here is going to be able to force Toronto off the sideline. Someone exploitable there as they've gone right where the rest of the Defiant have gone left. Sugar Free joins up though. They want to push back as Hawk is low. Immortality Field will preserve that life, but for how much longer? M80 get him out of there. Happy in position for an overclock and sends it straight away. Sugar Free's pulse takes Hawk low, but he's going to use a Terror Surge for the extra durability. But someone has one too. RuPaul and Vega need to be kept alive, but Happy finds the ladder. The Lucio's out of the picture now, and Happy wants to take even more space. Someone basking under the Immortality Field, but needs some more healing from RuPaul. Hanging on, just hanging on. Merritt's able to trade the kill out, and Lyra is now missing, but Happy's not going anywhere. Unfortunately for him, someone is too durable, too bulky to bring down just yet. Another defensive cooldown going to be used by someone who just seems utterly unkillable, and RuPaul's going to keep the healing coming in. Someone's still in the fight. Here come the Defiant. The reinforcements are arriving. Sugar Free back on the scene as Hawk switch to the Winston.
Bro.
They're giving up this ground.
And that's everything. That's everything from M80 there. Somehow RuPaul is able to keep someone up through that fight. I mean, tremendous stuff there from Toronto Defiant as the bot will be contested now. It'll be an Amp Matrix here from Ultraviolet on the side. Now they deal with someone.
Flanking someone with that. There's just nothing he could do. A great fight from the Toronto Defiant, showing us a lot of their quality there, but they are too far behind to make a difference against M80, who'll snap up Colosseo and continue to stamp their dominance over this series. Toronto now coming into this game with only 1 map lost. They've lost 2 already in the space of this series. M80 are the real deal.
I tell you what, I mean, you have a C9 from an opportunity there. M80's in a position to potentially have 3-0'd the Defiant. So the Defiant,
true,
pretty fortunate in that scenario that they get that map number 2, give themselves a chance to fight back. But man, really nice play there on Colosseo from M80. Thought Happy and Hawk played a tremendous match.
We spent some time talking about the Sigma mirror in the previous map and how it seemed like Hawk had some struggles there, but the Orisa gameplay here for M80 is top-notch. This is a map where, frankly, Merritt goes off the boil, is just not able to generate the same momentum that Happy can on that Sojourn pick. Really impressed with the performances there in general, and Hawks seem to find that burst of confidence that M80 needed to put themselves now onto a match point. This is the upper final. Incredible stuff.
Yeah.
And M80 might find themselves in the grand final with that advantage.
But I think, though, that M80 should, like this roster should expect to be in grand finals with an advantage. I also think this is actually a pretty good series for the Defiant, to be honest with you. Like, you wouldn't want your first challenge to be, you know, at a LAN event, right? And, you know, you've never dealt with any adversity like prior to that, right? You know, between this and DreamHack, you got a little bit of time, right? While you're going to scrim. To go against no adversity the entire year, right? You know, you're going to face it at a moment, whether it be from a team from, you know, EU, NA, APAC, right? You're going to. You don't want it to be in a, you know, massive moment, you know, on a LAN stage, right? Where obviously this is a huge moment. for them. But to have this kind of like, okay, let's see how we do, under this type of pressure. It's better to have it now and get it out of the way than deal with it later.
It's actually such an often overlooked aspect of competition in esports. It kind of gives Atlanta Reign international tournaments vibes last year, right? Where everyone expected them to be so good, and then at the first sign of resistance, they, all of a sudden get exposed as maybe not being as robust, as well-rounded as we thought they were. This Toronto Defiant team probably don't mind taking an L here where the stakes aren't nearly as high, because with how far they've managed to make it through this this stage 2, I mean, they're guaranteed to be in Dallas anyway. So take your lickings when you need them. Take your lessons when they don't completely ruin your chances of competing internationally.
And for M80, like you really believe you can contend with a team like the Toronto Defiant and all the other best teams in the world. Is Happy just absolutely dunked on merit on that one. Where M80, it's also a positive in like, hey, it's one thing to kind of constantly say like, oh, we believe we can kind of handle the Defiant and some of these other teams, and then get into the series and not win, right? Like now you win, you gain that confidence to actually like, okay, we can beat teams like this. We have a shot, globally, right? I think it's honestly it's like a win-win series for both teams in a weird way.
But it ain't over yet. This one can still go all the way. It's going to require Toronto to come out of the gate swinging on Suravasa and push it all the way to a decider. We're going to jump into that map in just a moment. We're going to give the players a break, and we'll be back with more M80 versus Toronto Defiant as M80 lead 2-1.
Save Soch.
Wait, don't let them push.
Come here.
The spin? All under. First one.
Secure. I have beaten. So. Nice. Push. So this time. So.
Here's your point.
Nice. Let's fucking go, baby.
Nice fucking shot. Good job.
Good shit.
Ultraviolet looking awful clean there with that Amp Matrix, couple of kills off of that. And they found the perfect opportunity at M80 to end the map right there and then. It was desperation, though, to be fair, for the Toronto Defiant, who'd spend most of that map playing from behind. The fight before that was a banger. We had like 10 ultimates plus in that engagement, and somehow Toronto managed to hold on. Those are the fights that I really love seeing in games of this level. And Lyra, in an interview recently, sort of said that we're at the point now where the only team we fear is the Defiant. But I think that fear now might have started to dissipate as they realized they can actually believe themselves in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, what they, you take a map loss, but otherwise, right? You're swinging back and you're winning, maps against the Defiant. There's no reason that I think M80 should fear them or really anybody. Like that we've seen in the past. If you have Pelican on your team, right, you have a pretty decent chance in a lot of these games, right? Regardless of who's on the other side of things. especially with the hit scan like Happy who can come alive and, you know, take it to somebody like Merit who's tremendous. You're going to have a chance regardless who's on the other side for M80.
Big time. This has been a fantastic match so far, and all I can ask for now is that maybe get pushed to a 5th and decider here. Zuravasa is just around the corner, and it's an opportunity here for Toronto to bounce back. But we just saw them play the Orisa mirror for much of Colosseo, and they struggled. Even, you know, with that Orisa up against the Sigma, they were having some difficulty putting real pressure on Hawk.
Yeah, I think you're going to see this very similar comps yet again here. I think you're going to see like Orisa with the Sojourn in the mix. I think probably the biggest thing is like, do we see like Pelican or Sugar Free pick up the Genji, right? I know Genji on the first point to try and control some of the high ground. And then Lucio's obviously a must here on Flashpoint.
Zuravasa, our next map to come up here for the Toronto Defiant. It's going to be a victory, but this is a team, we kind of just talked about this, you know, during the break or beforehand. It's a bit of an edge case where Toronto have already, you know, basically solidified their spot in Dallas. They will be there. They're the first team to qualify for that event. So to sort of realize some of their limitations here and now, not such a bad thing. It gives them a ton of tape and a ton to work on. And in fact, they're almost guaranteed to get 2 matchups against M80 to sort of see if they can improve overnight. Not an easy thing to do, but we have a bit of a break before Dallas actually comes up. There's a ton of time to work on that, and there's no guarantee that what we've seen compositionally and meta-wise will even be relevant then. So for Toronto, yes, they want to win. It is important, but a loss here isn't going to ruin their year. It's not even going to ruin their week.
I mean, a loss, though, does, like, a loss in this tournament does kind of sting in the sense that, like, okay, now all of the chatter going into Dallas is not going to be about, like, you know, how good Toronto, you know, is and can they, like, kind of win the whole thing. It's going to be like, oh, like, where do they place, right? The first match they play, there's going to be a ton of extra pressure on, right? So, like, you know, ideally, they do want to kind of come out on top. So, interesting enough, Toronto will play the Sigma here at the start. So, I thought we would actually see just kind of, you know, Orisa's on both sides, but it'll actually be the Defiant bringing out the Sigma.
How long can someone hang around here once this shield goes down? And again, he's a tank, so has those defensive cooldowns, but when they start getting eaten through, it seems like things might get a little bit scary. I mean, one of the best things you can do is hit that accretion on the enemy Orisa when she doesn't have a fortify up. That's allowed someone actually to push up, force Hawk away here as M80 fold back.
Yeah, what's also allowed it was Happy took like a huge chunk of damage where he almost actually falls. So they have to back out, try and heal him up. Now they can put some pressure onto someone. There's the immortality field gone, but they can actually get the kill on the Hawk.
Yeah, look, I think trying to get that kill on someone, maybe sort of overexposed M80 a little bit there, but it ends up really just being a trade of tanks. But the first cap finally comes down. It was Happy, I think, just putting a toe on the point as the Defiant were playing much further back.
Yes, Pelican can stand here on the point, kind of keep this contested, but he's wrapping around as it looks like it's Merit who kind of jumps up on that pillar. Oh, it takes some damage there as Ultraviolet finishes him off as, I wonder where the other extra damage came from.
He's been on one, man. The end of that last round and that shot there.
They had a really good series.
Very, very clean. Liar there wasn't able to quite get away. M80 not too bottled again because they've made that trade there. And they do want to get Lion back in position to make use of that beat here. This next fight's going to be pretty hot and heavy. Air matrices for both sides. Pelican tickling here at someone. But look how low that Sigma is. Remember, Sigma does not have that armor, does not have that inherent damage reduction. It's just shield that regens, but under this level of pressure, Sigma can't really benefit from it. Go back away. Have that Air Matrix now coming up. Rupal, they're going to walk ahead of it. As the sound barrier means that Defiant want to play a little bit more proactively. And M80 come back in with a later beat. They hold the point right now, and the Toronto Defiant getting beaten out in those support ultimate timings, and then Happy can punish someone. Oh my goodness, Rupal flattened.
Well, it just feels like they have to put so much resources into someone to keep him up on the Sigma, right? You have to use the immortality field, the AM Matrix, the sound barrier, everything, you know, even outside of the Sigma cooldowns to keep that Sigma alive, as that's going to be a switch here from someone onto the Orisa. The point will go back to M80. Looks like it'll be M80 taking our first flashpoint.
You're looking better, Matt. I think there's no other way of putting it. That Colosseo map and this one here really starts to secure that idea for me. Huge opener. This is for someone now to get off the Sigma. That is not going to work, but at least at this point in the series, someone is willing to switch out of those disadvantageous tank matchups as opposed to, you know, our first map where he sort of stuck to his guns no matter what.
What's your opinion on the Baptiste versus the Kariko?
I think
here.
Sorry, but I know where you're going with that. It's interesting, I think, to use it on the Sojourn, right? Because it can be hard to guarantee coverage with that Immortality field. Your Sojourn's more self-sufficient, so maybe you can throw that Immortality on your Orisa and give her the edge when her defensive cooldowns aren't available. But we've normally seen it paired up with a Cassidy. But you can really unleash, like, you know, at the individuals level with Baptiste, fighting through their own amp matrix. And so what Ultraviolet did at the end of Colosseo, for example. So I kind of like that as an opportunity here for Ultraviolet just to show what he's made of.
Yeah, I mean, even right there, right? The amp matrix just kind of creates so much space. Allows them to take the point here. They'll get a little bit of an early lead, as it doesn't look like Toronto wants to drop down to the point just yet, as the Kitsune Rush will be really difficult to deal with. It's a Terra Surge here, gets a few players low, but I think just having that Immortality field, especially if you're going to play around that Sigma, you can throw it in, be a little bit more aggressive with it. I think it pays off in a big way.
The Terra Surge there from Hawk was just to force Toronto to the disadvantageous low ground there. They had no choice but to acquiesce, and M80 followed up very, very well on that inherent positional advantage they had following that, that ultimate used by Hawk. Very worthwhile use of Terra Surge, which often isn't going to guarantee you kills unless all the enemy's defensive and mobility cooldowns are unavailable.
We'll now see if Toronto can get value out of this Kitsune Rush, right? It's going to be 90% and counting, right? Last fight territory where M80 could go up 2-0 in terms of flashpoints. One flashpoint away from winning the series right away. It feels like the map just started.
It's been awful quick. That is crazy to think of. Ripal here sees Hawk down below, sends a kunai with love just to try and put some pressure here on the healing of M80. But Toronto trying to transition to the low ground to really help out someone properly. It has to be a sound barrier to do that remotely, but Laya has one to respond with. Here's a Kitsune Rush, the big point of difference between these support compositions, and someone is low. Somebody look at someone, please! Solo, eventually going to be picked off. Happy gives himself up in a trade, but it's a very favorable one for M80 at the end of the day, with Vega, a piece taken off the board. Mirror with some high-flying acrobatics is actually able to take Pelican down, but another flashpoint is secured by M80, and they're looking to end the series right here.
Yeah, someone got hit with just about everything there. Gets hit with a pulse bomb, tries to use the Terra Surge to kind of keep himself alive, and this is going to force a change here from the Defiant. So they're actually going to play the Baptiste as well. That extra immortality field. Obviously the great survivability, be able to kind of like keep the tank up, and they'll actually have Sugar Free play the Genji here. So putting a little bit more pressure onto the backline. I do feel like you're going to miss some of the pressure, the constant pressure the Tracer provides.
Yeah, you're right. Sugar Free, again, has to commit to a greater degree as the Tracer, and then we can't be doing it perpetually is the issue. Happy, good damage here. That's all I can say for that for the time being, but it's a tough job for Sugar Free to chase down this Sojourn, and Happy's able to win it out. Either got removed, maybe Vegas sent him over the edge, it's unclear. A second kill for the Toronto Defiant. Lucio keeping them in this game. What a showing.
Yes, they're going to be able to take the point here, so some signs of life here for the Defiant as they switch over and bring in the BAP with the Genji here. So I think the Genji's probably just to put a little bit more pressure onto Happy, like close the gap a little bit more, right? Have the deflect, right? A little bit of extra defensive capability. But let's see how this next fight goes on, right? M80, they'll have an amp matrix of their own. Pulse bomb for Pelican, as he's been so good with it.
Terra Surge is both available in this next fight. Also, amp matrix for both Baptistes at the ready. Sugar Free going to be a bit away from a blade yet. That'll probably coincide with Laya's beat, so may not be that significant. Happy knocked out of the immortality field. It wasn't really in there to start with. I like this. A wedge driven between both sides of M80 as someone steps up and throws the Terra Surge into the fray. Hawk no choice but to hold on to his for now. Ultraviolet's amp matrix. Unclear to see if they really got a ton of value from that, but Hawk is able to stay safe in that back corner. Here, though, this is all about cleaning up the Orisa. Merritt knows it's an easy kill if he comes forward with that overclock, and this will secure the flashpoint for Toronto.
Yes, it's Ultraviolet ends up using his amp matrix from the side, tries to keep Hawk alive, and then Pelican there as well, maybe trying to make a play out of it. Does not end up working out. So some switches from the Defiant result in a flashpoint take. Is it just too little too late, right? You have to kind of run the table here in terms of the flashpoints coming up. Pelican now will actually play the Echo. So interesting. They'll play Echo and they'll actually drop the map and play with the Kariko. So A little bit of a different setup here from M80, a little bit more aggressive.
You can't realistically play the Baptiste here with the Echo. She can't be fully self-sufficient in many of these cases, but it's going to be very hard for Sugar Free to threaten Pelican. And presumably Laya, who likes to hold big for these big ultimates, is saving it for that, but doesn't have a chance or doesn't have the inclination to use it.
He might have went for it and got a little bit fortunate there that it didn't go off, right? Because that could have been a bit of an Ajax.
Yeah, that would have been devastating, but the result is kind of the same in that fight. At the very least, Laya can bring it in and answer an overclock, or even M80 can throw caution to the wind, beat aggressively, or just have one to match Vegas. So not the worst case scenario there for M80, who just need one more flashpoint. They've got a bit of a buffer to work with here, but they need to wake up and they need to figure out how they're going to work around the comp changes from Toronto, which have given them a distinct lead on that previous flashpoint fight. It was basically 100-0.
Yeah, and now double support ult here for the Defiant with someone's Terror Surge, so not exactly a really easy fight to go into here if you're M80, where you can kind of start to feel the momentum potentially start to swing.
Someone and Hawk just exchanging pleasantries here. Hawk overheating and have to use some defensive cooldowns. Of course, you jump on the other side of that amp matrix, make it very hard to make use of. Pelican is so healthy. That sound barrier is huge. Laya managed to use theirs, though, and that's been huge, allowing Pelican to put an extra Orisa on the field and get value out of the Terror Surge. The Echo difference is really being felt in that fight.
I wonder if Sugar Free will go Tracer here, because Tracer historically is like always really good here against the Echo, and yeah, there's the swap. So I like this decision here from the Defiant, adjusting on the fly. Both of these teams just kind of like counter-picking each other, it seems like, from flashpoint to flashpoint. Feels like just one more fight here for the Defiant would actually give them an opportunity to go to one more final flashpoint.
Honestly, and M80, honestly, like, if this is a long fight, they just need to win this one as well. Toronto, I know they've got a buffer here in terms of flashpoint capture percentage, so they just give the point up. They don't want to face down this overclock. They don't have to. Conversely, M80 will have no choice but to deal with merits and maybe try and find a way around it. That's beautiful, though. Just a pick out of nowhere. Happy manufactures a player advantage for M80, and they're going aggressive off the back of it here. They're at 77% and counting. This might be it.
Yeah, no speed. It's very difficult to back out. M80 does not chase, since Liar takes a shot there. Gets quite low. But this is M80's chance to take it. Terror Surge available. Probably going to end up getting a rush here. Big ultimate advantage for the Defiant.
Here it is. Merit holding on to that overclock for just such a situation. Was looking for Hawk there, but M80 disengaged happily. They're also able to play out of range of Merit, out of line of sight. Some sticky bomb connection there, but here's the Kitsune Rush, and Hawk is trying to catch Merit inside that. Somehow Merit isolated. Hawk's able to find an opportunity to get rid of the biggest damage dealer on the side of the Toronto Defiant. Sugar Free has to recall desperately there, and somehow is able to get away with it, leaving Hawk all alone on the point. Toronto get another flashpoint. We're going all the way to 5 here in Suruvasa.
Man, Hawk pushes up, takes out Merit, almost actually takes out Sugar Free as well, spears him into the wall. He basically lives with just a sliver before you can get the recall off. But while that's happening, everybody else on Toronto is just dealing with the backline of M80, and everybody falls as now we go to one final flashpoint to decide the map, potentially the series here if M80 can take it out.
Duplicate available for Pelican. Last time it was a second Orisa that built up a Terror Surge incredibly quickly. And it allowed him to find a pick on Sugar Free, who at the time was on Genji. Pulse and recall, nothing for Sugar Free there. Can't blame him for looking for a quick opener, though. Here's the dupe. Get another Orisa. Now you have 2 sets of these defensive cooldowns to rotate. Allow Hawk to go forward. Pelican to create a lot of space, and Toronto say, I mean, we cannot. This is overwhelming. We cannot fight this.
No, you're not going to push into like a double Orisa setup here at the moment, right? As they'll just wait for the duplicate to run out. Scary part is, right, you know, Happy starts landing some of these railgun shots, right? You can find yourself in final fight territory rather quickly. As look at this, Toronto goes wide. They're going to wrap all the way around.
You're trying to get out of like that position that Happy was playing from, that little high ground perch. They still have to deal with it, no matter how they approach the point, though. Hawk took a ton of damage.
Yeah, loses all his armor.
That's regenerating, but Hawk can't stay healthy enough to probably contest this. So M80 just give up the point on virtue of the damage on Hawk.
And I wonder if they could have, like, you know, used an ultimate there to try and like push in, keep control of the point. As now they just push back up. It looks like Toronto will give up the point.
It's interesting how willing both teams are to give up that space. Oh, okay, that was nice. I think that caught onto Rupal there. Someone, maybe Sugar Free actually having a recall after getting hit by the spear. Merit gets hit by another one, but Toronto are so healthy here. They walk up, use a sound barrier in order to take this fight. And M80 probably happy with this. Probably happy to now exercise, the advantage they have in terms of these beats that Liar's holding onto his still.
Yeah, and I like the swap here for Pelican, just ditching the Echo at this point in the game, right? You just need that pressure with the Tracer, no support ult on the other side, right? I think this is going to come down to the overclock. If Happy can, nail this overclock, right? They have a sound barrier to deal with Merits. If you can nail a few shots with your overclock for Happy, you can put this series away.
It's got to be a good beat, though. Hawk again. Look at how low he's been poked, just trying to walk up. He finally uses the javelin spin. Now someone's starting to feel that pressure, but Hawk only has a short window here. He's got to go. Sound barrier now keeps Hawk alive, and he gets another fortify with that Terror Surge. Rupal Immortality Field used, though, when someone is low. It's going to have to be a javelin spin for him. The pulse from Sugar Free. That's big, but they've lost the Orisa. Toronto now playing with only 4 and no durability in their front line. A dangerous prospect, but M80 have lost the lion's share of the healing and the Suzu. It's a 4v4, but Sugar Free gets caught out, runs straight into Hawk, and then he's eliminated. Then M80 finally have a chance here to dethrone the Kings of the OWCS. Then they do so in style. M80 realize their potential now, advancing to our upper finals.
Oh, it's a huge win there, Mitch, which one actually could have potentially even been a 3-0 as M80 came in today prepared for the beasts that are the Toronto Defiant, as Toronto, they'll suffer their first loss through these first 2 stages here. Now, rarely do they lose any maps, let alone 3 in a series, but M80, such a strong team on paper, finally showed it in the server
We spent
today.
so long, I think yesterday, the last couple of days, asking, where's the tier break here? Is it Toronto, then everyone else, or Toronto M80, and then everyone else? And now we have the answer. M80 has taken a huge leap forward now in our estimation, of course, and in circuit points and in results. This team, when they get over to Dallas, and I say when now because I'm basically, convinced that'll be happening, they are definitely going to be making waves. Let's bring the desk in and break this game down, because many of us are surprised to see the Defiant getting clapped back so hard. M80, what a result for this squad.
Many surprised. One certainly isn't, because Reinforce did predict the upset.
Gotta take the wins when you can get them.
That's right, but what a victory. And this was a close one. I mean, it came down to the very last fight right there on Suravasa. What a fantastic series. Toronto Defiant having the right idea there, knowing that M80, they're going to be the team to watch out for. And they are now comfortably waiting in that grand final. And I feel like they're going to see each other again right there.
Yeah, they are the 2 favorites to do so. It was a bit of a preamble. We're eagerly looking forward to the grand final now.
Yeah.
I mean, you said it like this. This match doesn't matter as much. Obviously, it really matters in the grand final. But this
sets
match,
the tone.
This sets the tone, and it really proved the point that M80 are truly capable of competing, and are arguably better than Toronto Defiant. They got the win. But just a couple of weeks ago, people were looking at this M80 roster just like, well, they went to map 5 against Pip, and but they didn't have their 2 damage players in the United States. They didn't play on low ping, and that was obviously a struggle for them. This is their potential fulfilled, and I want to give massive props to Pelican. He had such amazing hero swaps throughout this series. We listened to the voice comms. He told his main support Liar, hey, we need a brig. Swaps over to the Genji here on Midtown. Even it didn't work out, but to deal with the Baptiste, the Echo as well on Suravasa. Just such a smart player. Shot calls for this team as well, but incredible Tracer play as well to really set up his team for rest of success. And honestly, Jake, I mean, you said it a couple of times when we were watching the game. It felt like Toronto Defiant. They were cooking quite a bit throughout this series.
Yeah, a lot of Sigma comps coming out, and historically that's been a strong point for Toronto, being able to counterpick and find the win. But today I felt M80 matched them on that front. I think you're right to highlight Pelican. His swaps consistently gave his team advantage. And I mean, that's the difference, having strong DPS players and international superstar players like Pelican, one of the best in the world on his role, arguably the best in the world. I think with the flexibility he brings to the team, he's really that player for Overwatch 2, ready to swap to whatever we need. Hitscan, though, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Happy. Merit, this was an uncharacteristically quiet game for Merit. I feel like we saw Happy in the kill feed way more often, finding those openings just a little bit more, and a small edge in that department really puts wind in your sails for a team like M80, and they capitalized. Incredible performance from everybody. Hawk as well, one of the few tanks that can actually take someone into all these deep tank matchups with many swaps. Very, very complex matchup here, but Hawk navigated it, looked like effortlessly.
Absolutely. And I mean, heading into this, you did post a question, Jake. Can M80 deal with the pressure that will be put mostly on Lyron UV? And they found an answer. They just put so much more pressure on the opponent that they never had to really care for that. Hawk, of course, being an integral part of making it happen.
Yeah, I think for Hawk as well. I mean, you saw throughout the series, you start out the series, you play Diva, you come out with the Cassidy and Torb, and it actually works out for you this series. But then also you saw Toronto Defiant, they swapped over to this Symmetra and Sigma composition. Hawk, again, crucial in engaging and utilizing his abilities correctly to give you an advantage in that Orisa series. This Midtown was a sensational map. Even though Toronto Defiant obviously won it, it got real close here on point B. Costly C9 perhaps, you wanted your Sigma or Brig to touch when Pelican was forced to recall away. But for the most part, I mean, the engagement, the decision making, it looked a little bit too close for comfort on Esperanza. That's we talked about it back in the back, like that final fight in Colosseo. Sorry, yeah, Colosseo, not Esperanza. That final fight in the corridors, and you use a lot of ultimates, and it kind of slips away from you a little bit. They find a way to claw it themselves back.
You could feel, I think, how much pressure M80 was under this series. With some of those, like, they played so well most of the series, but some of those fights, like the final fight, this should have been really easy. Like, they had massive ult advantage, and they did. I think they were feeling like the intense, we can win this. Like, we're gonna win this, and a little bit of nerves there to be imperfect in those fights, but it doesn't matter. They get the wins on those maps anyway. Doesn't end up defining the series. They're able to bounce back. And I think Hawk, for me, I thought, okay, someone's incredibly good at tank. I thought it'd be really hard to gap him, but I think Hawk on the Orisa, when he caught those moments of tempo, I mean, he was in there and it looked great. So Hawk on the Orisa, for me, impressed in those matchups.
I mean, the entire team really came together here. So let's actually head back onto Suravasa and relive those final moments.
I'm post.
One. Straight to the lead.
Secure point. Live. Back.
Calm down. We have Lucio here only.
So slow. Marking Soch.
Tracer.
Walk.
Push. So.
Lucio one.
So.
Soch one. Kill Soch.
Maxim.
Let's go.
Nice.
Let's go.
Nice job, guys.
Good shit. Maybe good shit. Good shit.
Good stuff indeed, M80. And now we are getting ready for our winners interview. Gator is actually joining us for this one. First of all, congratulations. What an incredible match we just got to witness from M80. So you got to be feeling pretty good right now, securing that grand final spot. We assume you're going to meet Toronto Defiant there again, but looking at your preparation for this match, we saw a lot of counter swapping. Did you have anything specific planned for that team, or were you just ready for anything?
I think we're just pretty much ready for anything. They refuse to take mirrors for the most part. A bit cowardly, but besides that, we were expecting to be in like an HQ battle, because it's just at that point, that's just how the game is played at this point, so that's all good. I don't think we saw anything we didn't see before. Nothing was really going to surprise us. I really just think we have the better roster, and this team's only been together for 3 weeks. We've somehow found a way to get them to the East Coast in a suboptimal setup, but we're making it work, and
Yeah, so I'm curious about, getting this win puts you guys potentially at the top of NA if you can continue on and secure the victory in the grand finals. How do you think this puts you guys in position in the global stage, right? Thinking ahead to Dallas, you guys are qualified, playing against some of these titans being forged in Korea right now. How do you see those matchups going? Have you been scrimming at all? I know the ping is crazy, so you might not, but I'm just curious how you rate those international teams.
It really depends. I think if the hero ban system goes into place, that our two teams could actually win it all quite convincingly. But I think EU is really, really strong in this meta. It's going to be hard to beat them without any kind of bans. I think it'd be very easy to beat them if we were able to implement that ban system, which I think it should be like that, because that's how League is. And I feel like at this point, it's time to start banning heroes. Like you can't just pick one hero and play it. But I think Korea is obviously the strongest. I'm not delusional. I think those two teams are probably the teams to beat. Maybe there's three. We'll see who makes it. But I think that's kind of where we stand.
All right, going back to America a little bit. There's been a lot of chirping going on in the scene, a lot of talking, overall in the scene. Do you feel like you kind of proved a point with this win here over Toronto Defiant and some of the other teams maybe talking smack?
Yeah, so it's kind of one of those things. Like, you guys would know this. You've been around a while. It's like the newcomers, they can yap, but like when it comes down to it, they just choke. You know what I mean? Like To be frank, I almost honestly retired, but I saw a lot of smack, so I had to come back and take care of business. Me and Hawk were both considering it, and at this point, we really came back just to prove a point. And I feel like the point's been made now. Obviously, the Toronto players are insane, not to them, but just in NA in general. There's a lot of yapping, but there's not a lot of career results. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, enough said there, Gator. They be yapping, you guys are barking and biting, and it showed on the server today. Gator, thank you so much for joining me here for a quick chat, and of course, best of luck in the grand finals.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks for your voice.
Thanks, Gator.